All right, you guys, what's going on? So, impressive win by Edgar Berlanga, and he is now the WBA number one contender, mandatory, and we all know how that works for Canelo's WBA strap. Um, the fight started off very slowly. Berlanga trying to fight a smart and disciplined fight, basically picking his spots, seeing what McCory was trying to do. It really didn't start, or should I say, the actual fight start to the end of like the third round, where Berlanga started to go off, landing some nice hooks. I think his jab was the key factor, leading him to the TKO, and basically, McCurry he tried, but Edgar Berlanga, um, too big, too strong. He landed a nice overhand right when McCurry was trying to throw a hook, and basically that was the end of the fight. His team threw in the towel, but he wasn't going to make the 10 count anyway. So now Berlanga is the mandatory for Canelo. So will he get the assignment in May or will he get it in September? And I'm going to tell you right now, Berlanga is the type of guy that Canelo would fight. He'll say the great Puerto Rican Mexican rivalry continues, and that's how he'll sell that fight. But looking at Berlanga, he isn't experienced enough and he isn't seasoned enough for Canelo. So, of course, Canelo would pick an opponent like him. And I'm going to also speak on the David Benavidez, the so called offer, where Canelo's team and some of his fans are trying to save face by trying to say, well, Canelo offered him $5 million. Okay, we could play them games all you want, but we know what's going on with that. But nevertheless, like I said before, uh, you just got to be honest. You just got to be honest. Berlanga is a super middleweight. Jaime Mugia is campaigning, I think, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, he's campaigning at 168. And Charlo is still campaigning at 160. David Benavidez has been a long time 168 guy, but he's going to move up to 175 and try his hand at 175 versus Boslick. But you've been hearing that he could move back down to 168. So this is really a test run to see how he feels at 175. So I don't think he's going to immediately get the winner out of Arthur Beterbiev and Dimitri Bivol. But, like I said, Berlanga, he fought as well as he could fight. But, at the end of the day, I covered a couple of his fights. Kobe has covered a couple of his fights. And you could just take one look at him and just tell he's not ready for somebody like Canelo. But at the end of the day, you know what Canelo will say? That's not my problem. He better be ready. You know, he could say that, but I know how Canelo will try to sell that fight. He'll say it's a great rivalry between Puerto Rico and Mexico. So that's why I'm taking the fight. Now, Canelo has yet to have a opponent named for his May fight. So they would have enough time to put together, a contract and negotiate. And I think Edgar Berlanga take whatever Canelo offers him. It's a payday for him. It'll be his biggest payday. He'll just be happy to share the ring with Canelo, like a lot of dudes do. Where you had Bibble who went in there to actually win. Where some dudes just go in there, they see it as a payday. Hey, whatever. If I win, I win. If I don't, I don't. There's a difference between, you know, being determined and trying to win versus, well, whatever happens, happens. So so at the end of the day, can a Canelo Berlinga fight be made? Yeah, absolutely. Why? You know, do you think it would sell? That's the question. Would a Canelo Berlinga fight sell? Maybe, depending on where they have it at. I think that would definitely be. I think that would definitely be a Madison Square Garden fight. You know, I think Canelo is sold out Madison Square Garden. So I think if he does decide to go the Berlinga route, he could fight him in New York. He doesn't have to fight him in Las Vegas. That's an East Coast fight. Oh man, appreciate that, man. Appreciate the super chat. Appreciate that. All super chats are appreciated. So, like I said before, um, now I know somebody gonna ask me what's going on with this Bill Haney well, should I say Devin Haney versus Ryan Garcia fighting in Las Vegas. I was taken back when it was announced that the fight was going to be in Brooklyn because I was making reservations and playing reservations, looking at hotels, and I'm glad I didn't make no hotel reservation for Las Vegas because come to find out the fight is going to be in Brooklyn, so we think. But nevertheless, I've been trying to get Bill on the phone so we can get some clarity of what's going on. They saying the reason why the fight isn't going to happen because they don't want it to coincide with Canelo's fight date that's coming up in a couple of weeks shortly after. But my thing is it really a difference whether the fight is in New York versus Las Vegas? Because at the end of the day, people still got to spend their money no matter what. So, I mean, and I don't know. You still talking about 2 weeks in between paychecks. So, I mean, it could be done, but at the end of the day, we'll just have to see. But we'll find out shortly. But me, myself, as far as Berlanga go, I don't like his chances against Canelo. I think anybody that's honest, I mean, brutally honest, would admit that Berlanga is probably going to get the hell beat out of him by Canelo and probably stopped. And would nobody be surprised? But, you know, Canelo, he gets away with this kind of stuff. Canelo gets away with picking guys like this. Nobody questions him. But everybody else, whoever they pick, they get questioned. And I don't know how Canelo has managed to get away with picking these type of dudes and getting away with these type of opponent selections. And nobody criticizes him. And then you have Eddie Hearn once again saying, well, Canelo will fight anybody. Well, okay, well, if he'll fight anybody, well, why haven't we got Canelo versus David Benavidez? We've been waiting for that fight for years, but we still haven't been able to get that fight. So I'm not buying that. I could do a whole video breaking down Canelo's resume, proving that he hasn't fought the best guys available, that he's been carefully selective of his opponents. And we know that. And it isn't that people is hating on Canelo and all that stuff, because I'm going to be honest with you, I get tired of hearing that crap. I don't have no problem with that. I've been asking people to hop on the platforms. Nobody ever wants to come on here. I've been telling people if they wanted to come on here to let it know. Let a brother know. Let it be known. Yeah, I don't have no problem. I don't have no problem with that. Well, at the end of the day, like they say, boxing is a business. But let's be honest with you. Let me be honest with you. Do you really think that would resort to a lot of business? It might resort to it might come down to a lot of business if the fight is held in New York. That's not a Las Vegas fight. Now, that's not a Las Vegas fight. That's a New York fight. But Canelo has proven that he can sell out pretty much anywhere. He's proven that he can sell out different venues. I think if he fought Edgar Berlanga in Madison Square Garden, I think the fight would sell out. Now, what would the pay-per-view numbers be? That's a different story. But me, myself, I don't think Berlanga is deserving of a fight against Canelo. But would Canelo pick somebody like him? Abso-fucking-lutely. Because I've seen this with Canelo for years. I say this on a regular basis. My thoughts, if Canelo fights Edgar Berlanga, well, this would be textbook Canelo. I mean, if he fights Berlanga, wouldn't this be textbook Canelo? Asking for that guy, not the best guy? Because if he fights Edgar Berlanga, then you have to explain to us, well, okay, why not David Benavidez? So this would say a lot about Canelo, but I'm just one of these dudes that's not afraid. I'm not worried about backlash. I'm not worried about Canelo not doing an interview with me or not talking to people from my platform or talking to my reporters and all that kind of stuff, because it is what it is. And you just have to be truthful. A lot of these guys out here that do media, they do a lot of ass kissing, in particularly towards their favorite fighter, because they're scared that their favorite fighter, if they critique them, which, by the way, I have to say this from up close and personal experience as me being a dude who's covered over like maybe 25 fights, PBC, top rank, matchroom. I know how these fighters get down, and they take a lot of stuff very personal. When I say they take stuff personal, they get mad. Hey, you the dude that said this. They get mad. And that's why a lot of these reporters, they don't ask these guys the tough questions. But I would ask Canelo, if I seen Canelo, at the end of the day, some of them might respect you for asking them the tough question, but a lot of these fighters, they're very you know, they're very touchy when you ask them questions. But somebody needs to say, hey, Canelo, what's going on, man? First of all, Berlanga being compared to some of the Puerto Rican legends like Trinidad and Cotto and people like that, that's complete cap. How personal do they take it? Well, I'll put it to you this way. Put in some work, and then I'll send you to cover a fight, and you'll see for yourself. You'll see for yourself. When I say these fighters get very mad, they get very mad. Some of them will cuss you out. That's why some of them will ask you, "Oh man, who you with? Who you with?" And if you with, you know what I'm saying, if you with a platform that they not cool with, then they'll say, "Oh man, I ain't fucking with you," or "I ain't talking to you," and all that kind of stuff. Happens all the damn time. They take it very personal. So that's the problem. So then you have to, you know what I'm saying? You have to be, on eggshells, like, well, if I ask him this question, he going, and I've done that. I've done that. I done got phone calls. Hey man, I ain't gonna say who they is. Hey man, would you mind like taking down that video? Or hey man, would you re-edit the video and post it? Or before you post the video, could you take this out? So at the end of the day, most of the time I'll comply because it's not that big of a deal. I'm not one of these dudes that's just predicated off having a shitload of views. That isn't how I roll. So most of the time I will comply, you know. But if it's some video that got put up like 2 years ago and I have to search for it, nah. In all likelihood, that video just gonna stay. It's just gonna stay up, and I'm just gonna tell them because it take too much work trying to find a video and then, actually look for it. It's not as easy as you think. So, sometimes you can try to type it up, and depending on how many videos you got, you didn't post it, it just take you a while to find it. But yeah, these boxers take a lot of stuff very seriously. And I'm glad that you a journalist and a student. That's good. But if you cover a boxing match, you'll see how it is. Like they really get mad, and some of them specifically will name a channel. But like I said before, Berlanga is pretty much food for Canelo. He is a meal. There is nobody that believes that Edgar Berlanga, not even the most Puerto Rican of Puerto Ricans, believe that Berlanga has a chance versus Canelo. It's a cakewalk for Canelo and a payday for Canelo. I think Canelo is at this point in his career where he really doesn't want like tough fights, or he wants a fight where he has an extreme advantage. If he fights Crawford, it'll be because of size, because he feel like it'll be extreme advantage. So there you have it. But anyway, you guys, I'll be back with more later.